Yeah.
Inevitably, what happens every time on Pursuitery is when I click the Start Broadcast button and it starts to go live, somebody says something hilarious in that small interim between going live and starting live. And so the first thing everybody hears on Pursuitery.com, which is what I want, is laughter. Hi, Internet. How are you? My name is Evan Jones. I'm the community manager here at Pursuitery.com. Join us online at Pursuitery for a full listing of Geek Out's challenges and more. We'd be very happy to have you. If you have any questions today, please feel free to tweet them at us at Pursuitery. You can see how that's spelled here. And I'll work them into the mix at the tail end of the interview. This video will also be posted to our YouTube channel. And if you can't stay for the whole thing, you can watch there, but I do suggest you stay because it's going to be a good one. I think I'm getting some feedback on somebody, so you may want to mute yourself or check your speakers. But into the introduction, let's go ahead with it. Joining us today is the team, or at least some of the team, from Big Cake Games. Let's go ahead and introduce everybody. Going from my left, you'll see Alex. Alex, you're working as a composer, yes?
That's correct, yeah. I was working on the soundtrack for the game.
Thank you very much for joining us today. We do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And moving onward is Ian. Ian, how are you doing? Ian Radcliffe?
Yes. Great, yeah.
Hello again. Ian was goodly enough to join us early for all the tests, so we've been chatting for a bit. We also have Reese. Reese, you're working as the concept artist, yes?
Yeah, that's right. Doing some stuff on our new project and was working on storyboards for the cutscenes for the Metal Gear remake. But yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Oh, thanks for joining us here today. Also, our guests on the Geek Out from the community include Leo. How you doing, Leo? Thanks for popping in.
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. And Lisa, how are you doing, Lisa?
I'm doing wonderful, thanks.
All right, nice to see a full house. I appreciate everybody coming in. It's been a bit of a juggle between all the time zones and whatnot, and we've been trying to do this Geek Out for a while. It's got kind of a storied history, but very excited to finally make it happen. So we have quite a story to tell today that's relevant to games, fans, and game development. Big Cake Games was originally known as Outer Heaven, and Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, but Outer Heaven came to prominence originally because you were working on a full-scale remake of Metal Gear that included David Hayter, who I believe just joined the Geek Out.
I did just join the Geek Out. I've been living the Geek Out.
It's a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. We were a bit wary of announcing it on the interwebs, and it finally happened through the magic of the internet and connectivity everywhere. Mr. David Hayter, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm excellent.
What's your name?
My name's Evan Jones. I'm the community manager here at Pursuitery.com.
Fantastic.
And as an aside that is probably not super relevant to the nature of today's Geek Out, I'd like to mention that
Mention that what?
I went to Ryerson.
Oh, you did? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
For what?
I did film production, of all things.
Nice. For those of you who don't know what Ryerson is, and why should you, it's a former polytechnical institute that turned into a university, I think the year I was there, but I'm pretty sure the two are not connected, and that's where I went to acting school, so, blame them. But nice to meet a fellow alum.
So I was tickled because I don't meet a lot of people from there out here, but we were just telling the story. We had to do a bit of a shuffle today because obviously you were good enough to work your schedule around, and we were just mentioning how people are joining us from all over the place and overcoming various maladies and whatnot and working out various time schedule issues.
Right.
So if you allow me to do first things last and vice versa, I was going to the story of it. We were talking about how Outer Heaven Productions slowly seeped into becoming Big Cake Games.
Okay.
And Ian, please do correct me if I'm wrong. Essentially, you were working on a full-scale remake of Metal Gear that included David Hayter, who then popped in to join the Geek Out and made it metatextually awesome. And that got tabled after some back and forth with Konami, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to discuss that game today, and we're going to also talk about what Big Cake is up to now, as well as game development and possibly some stuff about scripting and art and music as well, and all the things that go into making a game. And so for the sake of keeping everybody in the loop, I'm just really excited to have everybody here, and there's a lot to ground to cover. Hopefully we'll get to everything. I want to remind everybody who's watching live to tweet at us at Pursuitery, and I'll work the questions in at the tail end of the interview. Obviously, if you're on the Geek Out, thanks for joining. Go ahead and throw your questions in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end of everything. So, starting with Ian, and everybody else feel free to jump in. When and how did Big Cake get its start?
Well, I didn't start it. It was a guy called Glenn Eckhardt. I got contacted over some drawings I did, and yeah, from there I ended up just shifting around, and then now I'm producing.
Okay, it's one of those things where you start with a little, then it turns into a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so for everybody on the Big Cake team, just going to ask a very big, broad question. Can you describe the impact of Metal Gear on your life? Because I think it obviously has some import.
Yeah. Well, with me, I got into it at the start of like Metal Gear Solid 2. I did see Metal Gear Solid 1 get played, but I was a little young then. And as soon as I played it, I was just blown away. So everything about the game was just amazing, and ever since I've just followed it. So
I'm just going to throw a spanner in the works here and say that I wasn't a religious fan, but I was actually very familiar with the soundtracks, which was obviously quite useful given that I was working on the score for the remake. I was a lot more familiar with the Harry Gregson Williams soundtracks of Metal Gear Solid 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely a huge inspiration for me.
Reese,
Yeah.
Reese, yourself.
Sorry, the delay. But yeah, Metal Gear was weird for me. My name, Reese, was taken from Kyle Reese out of the original Terminator movie. My brother was big into that when it came out. And he actually had a cutout from a magazine of the Metal Gear 1 cover that was looked exactly like Kyle from the game. And so I remember seeing that around when I was little. And over time, I didn't have an MSX or an NES at the time in Australia, so I never got a chance to play the originals. But when Metal Gear Solid started coming out, it looked like nothing else that was around at the time. Like PlayStation, are you kidding me? It's just everything about the presentation, the themes of it. It's like, what the hell is this? It's coming out of nowhere. So I was following that for as much as I could, just with magazines, demos, and stuff. And rented it when it first hit the stores in Australia, and just kind of fell in love. From there, I've been following it pretty religiously ever since. Yeah.
You guys are quite the international team. David, to go full circle, I assume that there's been some degree of impact on your life thanks to Metal Gear, just a bit, possibly.
Yes, it helped me renovate my pool.
But
so that was certainly gratifying. And Metal Gear has obviously played a big part of my life for the past 15 years, and I guess 16 years now. And I don't know what else to say about it. It was a pretty thrilling ride as far as I was concerned.
Excellent. So, obviously, there's some backstory here. Let's go ahead and talk about the remake, and then we'll address some other things. The background of Big Cake is that it came out of an attempt to remake Metal Gear, yes? When you were known as Outer Heaven?
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
The game was ramping up. You had some interest from Konami. There was some back and forth, and obviously, as you can see from the people on the Geek Out today, you've got some staff. There was even some rumbling in the press and whatnot. And what happened after that?
It's still pretty much, we're still in the dark about it, really. All I really got told was, they just didn't want to go ahead with it. That was it. That was literally all I got told.
Okay. With all the concerns and whatnot, you had mentioned in an interview with Kotaku. Terrible mispronunciation on my part. I do apologize, everybody. That you remained immensely thankful to the team at Konami, Is just one of, you think it's just one of those things that, okay, this was not meant to happen, or there's a lot of concerns at play?
Well, to be honest, I just don't know. I don't know why, it went the way it did. Jay Ball from Konami UK, he was in full support of it. He said most of the English team was. And like even now, he's invited us to go down to Konami UK and get introduced to the team and stuff. So he's still keeping around and being supportive to us. So we're just very thankful for it.
Yeah, you said there's no bad blood, there's no vibe there. And that's actually really cool to see.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't happen. But at the other side of it, though, we did get a really cool fan trailer out of it, which David lent his voice to, which is posted on the Pursuitery page and is pretty rad. And I believe both Reese and Alex did some work on. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen.
We certainly did.
Yes, spot on.
So, and
did you like the music?
Oh, I love the music.
In which case, I did do it. Yes, I was responsible for the music. That was me.
If not, 2 words.
If not, I wasn't there.
Let me just say, I was really impressed with the trailer, and this is the first time I've been able to see Ian directly. We've only communicated via email, and I'm amazed at how little I can understand what he's saying. But the trailer I thought was really spectacular and was really fun to go back and do a young Snake again for. That was particularly cool.
On that note, there's a lot to talk about, but I did want to ask David an inside baseball question specifically about voice acting. Can you do age? I mean, if I said, oh, can you do a younger person or an older person? Do you have that? It's such an alien skill set to me that can you adjust for age?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I want to do a young voice, I pitch it up. I put a little more energy into it. I, pretend like I still believe in things and that sort of thing. And then if I need to be older, certainly for Old Snake, I roughed it up a bit. Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I mean, I love doing different voices, and I love trying to, completely mask who I am naturally. Yeah, it's funny because now I'm in my 40s, and my agent puts me up for things, and they're all in their 40s, and I'm like, I can still play somebody in their early 20s or a teenager or whatever, but I think the casting directors just don't really think of you that way naturally. You kind of have to push them into it. But yeah, I think I could do a pretty wide range of ages if necessary.
It's impressive to see how voices age and how voices don't age. It really is.
Yeah, well, the guy was it? Am I going to screw this up? Is it Frank Welker who did Scooby-Doo and played what's his name? Fred in Scooby-Doo for well into his 60s and still sounded like a teenager. It was amazing.
The power of Google may let us know. I see Scooby-Doo listed here as well as several other things. Yeah, it's.
Oh yeah, he's done a million things. I mean, he's a master. But it's Frank, right?
Yes, Frank Welker, Welker.
Yeah, so he he did the voice of Fred. He did Scooby-Doo, and continues to do those things to this day. He's also an extremely prolific voice actor in all arenas. But yeah, it's amazing what the great ones can do.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about how David, how you had hooked up with the Big Cake team. It was originally by way of social media, correct?
Yeah, I'm big into Twitter, and I have a fairly significant base of people who only seem to live and breathe Metal Gear, and so when this came up, they instantly started saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if we got David Hayter," and so on and so forth. And I found Ian, and I just sent him a note and said, "Look, if you want me to do it, I'm happy to do it." So that's how it happened. I mean, it's amazing how simple social media makes it now to communicate.
That's really cool. So was it a matter of you and Ian and everybody sending files back and forth, or did you just cut a quick promo at the house?
Sorry, was that about house?
Did you just cut a quick promo at your house, do some recording over the internet, and send a file, or is that how it went?
Yeah, I have a studio here in my closet, and so I just recorded it into GarageBand and did a number of different takes and sent them off to the boys, and it's pretty straightforward.
So it's a really cool thing to see. I just want to reiterate for everybody who's joining that we've got an international Geek Out happening today between a variety of places and a variety of time zones. I think we can dedicate this Geek Out to the power of coffee and fan dedication. With that said, let's get back into the story of kind of how things transition from, okay, we're going to remake Metal Gear, into, okay, so everything's cool, but we're not going to remake Metal Gear. Ian, what are you and the team at Big Cake up to right now?
We're working on a new game. It's our own IP. It's currently codenamed Afterglow. It's going to be a horror stealth. It's going to have stealth in it, so yeah. So far, I don't think it's been done before. I think it's an original idea, and hopefully we can make something out of it.
Well, that sounds cool. How far into production are you?
Still very early. We're still just getting concept drawings and stuff together.
So, with everything said, are you taking any of the ideas from the Metal Gear remake and sort of incorporating it to the stuff you're working on now?
I don't know. We haven't really thought that much ahead, to be honest. So,
Alex, have you scrapped your whole score?
Yeah, it's gone. I've deleted it. It's in the waste paper basket. No, it was a completely different score. So I mean, it's very much an orchestral electronic score that I did for the Metal Gear remake. Whereas for a horror game, it's going to be more ambient electronic. I mean, there's a lot of options there, but I think with horror genre, it's very important. The music is very important in terms of building that atmosphere. The music creates the red herrings. It builds the tension. Just take Last of Us. A little game called Last of Us. You guys familiar with? So the music is very integral to that kind of genre. So, but it's very early days in terms of the score. So, just floating about in my head at the moment.
Okay, so is this the team's first game? You worked on stuff before, beyond obviously the fan trailer and whatnot?
Well, there's a couple of people on the team that have worked in games before. Alex. Is he gone?
Sorry, I'm back again. Lost the feed.
Second.
It's the UK connection.
We're living in the future, Alex. It's awesome. It basically means we get to see ourselves get confused in real time.
Absolutely.
Actually,
back on track. We've still got Adam Belkadre from Ubisoft working with us. Yeah, Kawhi Lamos from Insane Games. He's still working with us as well. So, yeah.
Well, Ubisoft is nothing to sneeze at. Neither is Insane Games. I just realized I got the audible called on David. So you have to take off in 10 minutes or so. Is that the case?
I do. Unfortunately, I have a notes call on a movie I'm directing, which is not unfortunate in the larger sense, but in the geek out sense, it is unfortunate. Yeah.
My boss has put me up to asking you about a certain movie that would involve the letters B and W in a prominent fashion. Feel free to use.
Yes, okay.
What?
My BMW movie, yes. About my love of German automobiles. Is that the? essentially.
I see what you did. I mumbled there, and you got me right in the bread box.
I did. Yeah. What can I assume you're talking about the Black Widow movie.
You can see me confirming by way of my eyelids. Yes.
Yes. Right. Yep. Yep. Blink 3 times for yes. Yes. What about it?
She wanted to see if there had been any movement on it, and she wanted to say that she was impressed.
Oh. Thank you. No, not for my. I mean, I haven't spoken to Marvel about it. I have. I put it out there that I wanted to get together with Kevin Feige from Marvel, who I haven't seen in a couple of years, and but of course, Kevin is a very busy person, so it takes a couple months to get an appointment with him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's certainly something that I'll bring up at the time. But no, I haven't had any communications about it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to note for everybody watching that I'm extraordinarily proud of myself for not referring to you as either the voice of Lupin or the guy from Guyver 2. I will leave all my deep fanboying to Twitter.
Well,
I'll be mercilessly mocked for it at a later date.
No, please. I'm enormously proud of Lupin and Guyver. I mean, I'd be thrilled to be called any of those things. It's much better than what I'm normally called.
Well, let's. Why don't we go through the lightning round so that we can value your time? I know it's limited, and we do appreciate your popping in.
Sure.
We kind of do some schedule hopping and whatnot. Usually, it's kind of cohesive from the top down, but we're an international organization, and we're very busy people, as we can all tell.
Sure.
From the variety of busyness that we see in our respective bedrooms and/or offices today. So, what do you look for in terms of game projects and voice projects, David? What has you thinking, like, I'm interested in doing this?
Well, I mean, well, first is the character. Do I think it's going to be fun to play? Do I think it's something interesting? When I did, I've been working on Republique with Ryan Payton from Metal Gear 3, and he just brought me this amazing character, this counter-revolutionary character, Zager, and so I get to go into the booth and I get to drink and get to wrestle other voice actors. I was just attacking some in the booth just the other day, and it's pretty fun. So I mean, really, it just has to be something that seems like it would be fun to do. I mean, voice acting is one of my favorite jobs, but it's sort of a side thing for me. I'm primarily a screenwriter and working on being a director, and so really, any day voice working is a pretty good day. So I mean, if the game is cool and interesting, I don't really care how big it is or how small it is. It's just fun to do.
Yeah, well, you've been in the acting game for a long time. You've also made yourself very accessible to your fans, as we've witnessed from just how you got involved with Big Cake and whatnot. I was wondering how you balance everything, though, because you are writing and you are working on directing and whatnot. I believe was your first film called Wolves?
Yeah. The first film I directed is called Wolves. It comes out November 14th. So please go see it 4 or 5 times. That would be great. Okay. That would help me out a lot.
Bring your pack and see the Wolves. Oh my goodness.
That's right. Bring the pack. No, that's all right. I'm expecting a whole autumn full of wolf jokes, so might as well get rolling now.
Well, let the howling begin.
Indeed.
There's like 50 people on Twitter right now just wincing at their keyboards, and that's what I aim for on a Thursday morning. But with you mentioned all the projects you're involved with and everything you've got going on, how do you balance everything to give it the same kind of attention and craftsmanship it deserves?
I don't know. It's a lot. I mean, if I really laid out the amount of things that I'm working on at any given time, you'd think I was insane. But basically, I think if you're going to be a successful writer, you have to write every day. You have to lock out a period of time, which typically would be now, where you where you put in a good 2-3 hours of work. And if you do that, pretty much every day, you can really produce a lot of material. So I mean, and as far as quality and craftsmanship, it comes from Stephen King said that it comes from a locked door. You can't just write for 20 minutes and then get up and do something else, and you have to sit down, you have to do it, and about an hour in, you're into it, and you start rolling, and ideas just start to fly, and so you just have to manage your schedule properly.
Sorry to interrupt, David. I was going to say, working on music, writing music is very similar. So you could just work on it like an hour a day, producing ideas, but it just keeps it going, keeps the creative ideas flowing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. I mean, that's I don't write music. I mean, I play a little music, but yeah, similar headspace. You have to you have to find the time to just do it every day, and it has to be something you love. So
absolutely.
And then your love and your enthusiasm for it should come through in the work, and then hopefully when people see the movies, they're like, oh, he really seemed to be having a good time there.
So a question I wanted to ask about, obviously with your writing and whatnot, because there's a lot of projects on your IMDb, and I see the various posters behind you.
Yep, that's my office.
Oh wait, give us a spin.
All right, let's see. So that's my Iron Man helmet and my Saturn Award, and Scorpion King and Guyver and Watchmen and X2. That's my big gaming TV. There's Devil's Mile, which is a movie I was in that just came out on Amazon yesterday, I think.
Excellent.
That is the front cover of the X-Men script signed by everyone in the cast, and you see Rebecca's blue fingerprints on it as well. And
I'm going to try and not geek out because I'm a huge X-Men fan myself.
Well, thank you. And then
it is called Geek Out, so
yeah, feel free to geek out. And then on the shelf here, I have a bunch of Metal Gear things. So here's my Calorie Mate and Shagohod, and Old Snake. I'm Old Snake, and Young Snake. So these are the things that I get sent, which is the best part of my job.
Oh, I was completely jesting, but that was the coolest aside I could have got. Thank you so much.
That is the first internet tour of my office I've ever given. So
that is the first Guyver poster I've ever seen framed and on a wall. And
well, then people are letting the best things in life pass them by, I guess.
Absolutely.
There's nothing like a good Guyver poster.
Shout out to Steve Wang. It's been so long.
Steve Wang.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. He told me in the scene where I was covered in the armor, or the armor was flying onto me, I had to be tied up like this for about 3 hours in my underpants and covered in Methicil, which is it's the same goo that comes out of the alien's mouth. It's just this horrible stuff, and I'm freezing, and I'm trying. I'm in immense pain, and I complained to Steve, and he said something I'll never forget. He said, "David, pain is temporary, film is forever," and that was very little consolation. Anyways, gentlemen, I'm so sorry. I do need to go and take this call, although I am enjoying geeking out immensely. So let me just say thank you, Evan, for having me, and thank you and the Big Cake guys for having me be a part of the Metal Gear remake to the extent that we got to do it, and so I wish you all the best of luck and good well wishes to everybody who's paying attention.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and we look forward to seeing how many requests you get to do somebody's voice messages on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't do them over Twitter, but if you ever see me in person, I'm happy to do your voicemail.
Oh, I was kidding, but now I have a feeling that I put you on the spot. I'm sorry if I ended up committing you to something there.
Oh, no, it comes up a lot, and that's fine. It's my pleasure. So, be well, guys. I'm so sorry I have to go, but nice to see you all.
Thank you,
David.
David.
Yeah, no worries, man.
You too, man. Thanks very much.
Okay,
All
bye-bye.
right, bye.
Take care.
Speak to you soon.
That was I didn't think we'd get a tour of the apartment. That's one of those things where I'm shocked.
It was a bit like MTV Cribs.
Hey, Evan.
A really brief MTV Cribs.
It was worth it. Come on.
Hey, Evan, can you hear me?
See a Japanese Guyver poster on the wall. That's a hell of a thing. I want one of those.
Yeah, that was not a Guyver 2 poster. This is officially a deep geek out when we're talking about the variations between the Guyver films. And by the way, here's where I'm going to get super into it for all the people watching. Guyver 1 starred anybody?
Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill.
Who later went on
Oh, really?
to become a very talented voice actor, playing, I believe, the Joker as well as other people. And as you called him Luke Skywalker, Reese. The reason I was bringing that up was because David had voice acted in, I believe, Star Wars: The Old Republic. And last week we had another Star Wars: The Old Republic voice actor on, so I got super impressed by the fact that everything kind of happened at once. So big shout out to David for joining us. With that said, let's move into talking about developing video games and what everybody's seen. Just so everybody knows, if you're watching and joining us via the web and whatnot, you can tweet questions at us via @Pursuitery. I am checking the feed, so if you see my eyes go down over here, I'm not playing video games. I'm actually doing my job. So, where's your new project at now, Ian? What are you guys up to as far as moving things forward?
Well, like I said, we're still in the concept stage, so we're still virtually getting ideas together. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's very much still pre-production. I mean, just last night I was sending some environment stuff over to Ian. I was working on the storyboards before when we were looking at Metal Gear, and with this new project I've kind of moved over to environments and stuff a little bit. And I've been having some troubles with that, but pre-production as it is, it's just kind of formulating the ideas. We're all trying to work our best together as a team, and it's coming out pretty well. I mean, the way things kind of went with the old project, everyone just felt like we had something really worth pursuing. We were working well together, so this is kind of our next step. See how we can make that happen.
Could I actually follow that up with something? This is Leo from MGN. So this is for both Reese and Ian. The community I'm a part of obviously is just Metal Gear exclusive, and the word of you guys making the Metal Gear remake obviously was, it blew up in the community. Everyone was super excited about it. Everyone was very enthusiastic and very supportive of your guys' efforts and what you were trying to do. I guess my question would be, especially with having David Hayter involved, and not to reminisce on anything, but because obviously very invested in hearing about what happened here. Was there really any surprise to see Konami kind of shut down the operation? Because to be quite honest, having dealt with Konami in the past for many years, because I've run my fan site since 1996, and knowing kind of the attitudes Konami's had and how they've had to make a major shift change when it comes to social media and how they interact with their fans, and how other fans may have taken the Metal Gear IP and try to do things such as make T-shirts or whatever, and typically Konami shuts that down really quick. So when I heard about this remake, although I was super excited, I was shocked when I first heard word that you guys had been given the green light to even, work on it. I was extremely shocked because of how the things run at Konami. They're very protective of their own IPs. So I'm just wondering, for both Ian and Reese, first off, when you got the go-ahead, were you shocked at all, or was this something that had been talked about with the Konami UK guys for a long time? And second, when you were shut down, even though you were given the go-ahead, were you still shocked at all? Because when I heard when you guys were eventually shut down, to me, my first reaction was, well, I'm not surprised, because that's kind of Konami's rep in the past. They've always kind of shut down any type of, non-Konami controlled aspect of one of their IPs. I just wanted to get your take on that. I know we're talking about some of your new projects and all, but I'm very interested in hearing what you have to say about that.
Well, yeah. Well, when I was first contacted by Japan, they told us to take the mod database page down and stuff, and we were all pretty worried that it was going to get shut down. And they had a big meeting with Japan, and they phoned us like a couple of days later and said like, oh yeah, you can go ahead with it. So obviously we were made up then. After a bit, because like we the first question I asked them was, great, well, can we get the page back up? And they were like, no. He said, because it was around E3, they wanted to get E3 out the way, and then they wanted to announce it. So we were like, well, yeah, that sounds great. And then, over time, it kept taking longer and longer and longer. So eventually we started getting worried, and like me and like the main developer, Glenn Ecart, we kind of like, we knew it was just gonna end at some point, like, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised to hear that it started up at all. I was in a similar place to you, hearing about the project, because Ian and Glenn, I believe Glenn had spearheaded it as a mod of Alien Swarm, on that Steam game, I guess. And that's where the ModDB page came from. Like, recruiting kind of started from there. So I actually got in touch with Glenn and Ian to say, look, like, I'm an artist. I love Metal Gear. I'd love to help in whatever way I can. And once kind of got deep in there and we were getting stuff going, there was, like Ian said, things were taking a while. It started to feel a little bit precarious. But I mean, like you said, sorry, I can't remember your name there, Leo. Sorry, man. Like you said, Konami has always been hyperactive about their IPs. I mean, especially Metal Gear, and kind of got the feeling after a while that internally there wasn't as much communication as we would have liked. I mean, like Ian said at the outset, the UK guys seem like gung ho, really into it, think it's a cool idea, but Japan just didn't come through. I mean, they have the final word on this sort of stuff, but I guess if we were potentially, if we were a bigger team, maybe with some more experience in the can, and had set out to do something, like a little more. I don't want to say AAA, obviously, but not a mod. I mean, who knows where that might have gone? But that would have been contracts and all sorts of stuff. No one probably would have heard about it, right?
Sorry to interrupt, Reese. I would say that, to be honest, I disagree with that. I would say that even if we were, a fully fledged indie game company, I think Konami would still probably shut it down because, like you said, they want that control.
Yeah,
which is fair enough.
I would actually agree with you on that, because there already have been a few developers out there, like well-established studios, that have offered Konami and Kojima to remake Metal Gear, and their requests have been falling on deaf ears, and I think that's mainly, at least from the coverage I do, knowing Konami, knowing Kojima. I just think it's, to what you were saying, Reese, is they're just so protective over that particular IP. Obviously, they're protective over all their IPs. But let's be honest here. Metal Gear, besides their pachinko business and Yu-Gi-Oh, is like it's the thing that gets Konami's name out there. You know, it's their biggest, most popular as far as brand-wise IP. And so, you know, that's why it didn't surprise me at all why you guys had so much press when, you know, the remake news was coming out. You had so much fan support. I mean, to this day, I have to deal with hundreds and thousands of people that like to tell me personally how much they hate the fact that Kiefer's now the voice of Snake and Hader's not. And the fact that you guys had managed to get Hader to be a part of this project, obviously, all those people were completely on board and loved this idea, you know, and so did I, obviously, but I had a feeling in the back of my mind, I'm just like, Konami's going to shut this down because they're not doing it themselves. It's kind of like when Metal Gear Rising was actually made by Platinum Games, I jokingly said the only reason that actually happened was Kojima was friends with guys over at PG, and that's the only reason he let that happen. You know, he it wasn't like PG came to him and said, "Oh yeah, let us make this game for you." Kojima Productions tried to make Rising, they couldn't do it. Kojima wasn't happy with the product, so he gave it to one of his friends. And I think that's kind of like the only situation where you might see something like that happen, it's unfortunate because obviously it would have been awesome to see what you guys could have done with that. But yeah, thanks for answering my question. I really appreciate it.
What is?
Yeah, it's ultimately at the end of the day, it is their thing, and that's what the Big Cake team had acknowledged, has acknowledged before, and acknowledged at the top of the Geek Out. You know, it was Konami's decision to make their move, and you have to say it's like, hey, can we do this? And they're like, I don't know, but it is certainly something that I was really excited to see and really intrigued by the idea about, because it seems like something that for me as a fan was very natural. It kind of had to happen. It's like, well, there's more of this game that I really like, and here's another interpretation of it. But as Ian has mentioned, as the team has mentioned, it's like that's how it went out, and that's how things went with that. But now we're kind of, the question is, oh, that's so interesting. You can do all this speculating about it, but you know, fan games can be a rough thing. You're ultimately asking for the okay from somebody that owns it.
I mean, you know, am I still? Yeah, I'm talking. I mean, it was, you know, it was a really fun project to work on, especially adapting, because I had to adapt the original 8-bit themes from the original Metal Gear. So, you know, I was
ill, by the way, came out great.
Thank you. So, you know, I had to do that, and that was great fun. You know, it was really good fun. I was collaborating with German composer Christian Brem on the project, who I'll be also working on, you know, with the soundtrack for the new project as well. But I think for the new project, it just gives us that much more flexibility overall, because obviously we're not tied down to this, you know, IP that belongs to someone else, certain characters. Even with the music, as I say, as much as I loved adapting these 8-bit themes into cinematic orchestral tracks, you know, as much as I enjoyed doing that, it was a case of I was restricted by, I was stuck with this melody and this bass line. You know, for the new projects, the possibilities are endless. So I think it's a good thing overall, I'd say. So it was a learning curve for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it brought us together, like kind of formed a group out of nowhere. You know, it was a short time that we had to work on, that we got to work on what might have been the Metal Gear project, and you know, it got us together in like a way probably just putting feelers out there for a new project might not have done. So yeah, I mean, it's something to be grateful for.
So is this new project going to be something that you guys are considering putting on like Kickstarter or doing some kind of something like that?
Yeah, we're going to do a Kickstarter eventually once, you know, obviously we've got something to show.
So spread the word.
On that note, everybody, I was going to ask, what were your plans for distribution? Were you thinking about Steam Greenlight, Microsoft, PSN?
Still, we're still in the early stages, so we haven't really planned that far ahead. But to add to the last question, we gained contacts with like Konami and there's guys from Sony and stuff we've been in contact with. So hopefully on the new project we can kind of push the boat out a bit and to see where it takes off.
There's certainly no lack of option these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say the amount of distribution, like the way that's opened up for indie developers, even on the new consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One. I mean, it's different than it was even like 5 years ago. So, I mean, since we're doing it, now's a great time.
It's a radically different field in so many ways. As somebody who I'm a casual gamer. I check in, check out. I work with people that were super hardcore about their gaming. Like, I'm going to PAX no matter what, which is really cool. But even for somebody like me who will buy a couple games every couple months, just something like Steam or something like the online repositories where I can go in, or the Humble Bundle, it's great. It's such a different playing field now, and I think it's such a better playing field for people that want to act as creators or developers, and as musicians as well. So it's really exciting to see, and I don't think you've got a lack of options. So
just to add to that, I was going to say that I hadn't previously worked on a game before, but I'd worked on films, documentaries, theatre as well. So, but the thing is, these days, the line between film and games is just virtually non-existent. It's in terms of the narrative, but in terms of the soundtracks as well, they're so similar. You can listen to a game soundtrack and think it's from a film. So for me, it's been a very kind of easy transition in that way.
And I was asking earlier, Alex, I don't know if you saw me in the chat, I was asking if your 8-bit reworkings were going to go to SoundCloud or someplace where we could hear them without money, shaking hands, and therefore okay.
Okay, yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, I've got the track that I wrote for the trailer is already on my SoundCloud, so you guys can check that out. It's Alex Bennett Music, SoundCloud.com/Alex Bennett Music.
I uploaded all his themes to my YouTube.
But yeah, of course, Ian uploaded to his YouTube channel as well. But yeah, no, I'll definitely make them downloadable. Obviously for free. Not any money involved in that.
That's great. I'd love to post that on our website to share with everyone.
Yeah, sure. Just give me your email and I'll be able to do that. Yeah, no worries.
You can actually post them right in the chat here. I'm going to annotate and put this Geek Out up on our video channel at YouTube, so I can always include those as well if you have any interest.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good.
Fun stuff. So Ian, you mentioned you've got a lot of playing and a lot of work to go until you're going to move into the production part of it. The actual production, you're in pre-production stage right now. What's the biggest task that you have in front of you right now?
Right now, it's getting stuff done. We haven't really got any challenges, really. It's, pretty self-explanatory. Make some drawings, write a bit of script down. The challenges will come once, we start with the modelling and the level building and stuff like that,
So where does a person typically start when they're making a game? Because there's 1,000 different philosophies about it.
Well, we just started with an idea. Like, we were on Skype and we tossed some ideas back and forth. This is like our 5th idea, I think, of a game that we ended up settling on. And yeah. But like with me, like Glenn, who was originally the guy in charge, he's kind of took a step back because he's got a new job, so he's working a lot of hours, so he's given me the opportunity to lead the team now. So it was me that finally settled on this idea, and we just tossed ideas back and forth and went from there.
Will you guys be using the same development platform that you were going to use for the remake, or are you going with something completely new tech-wise?
We're still going to be using the Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah, we originally started out, Glenn being a level designer and looking at this from a mod perspective, the Metal Gear project as a mod. We're originally looking at Source Engine for actually building the game, but over the course of things that changed. It looked like things were picking up speed, so we wanted to have a look at other engines, and UE4 just kind of launched right around that time. So that seemed like the obvious choice, and there's so many people with so much experience with Unreal. It just seems like a really good platform to move forward on. And with this, that's kind of where we settled. So yeah, the good thing we're out of Source now, because I don't think the new game would really be suited to that too well.
Yeah, to add to that as well, when we were recruiting, we were having trouble finding people who worked with Source Engine before. So, plus the guy that we got from Ubisoft, he was working with it, but he weren't that experienced in it. So hopefully, we know that it'll be a lot better with the Unreal Engine 4. So we're just looking forward to getting started, really.
Okay, so we've covered a whole lot of ground here, and we're just about out of time. I did want to open up the floor via the chat, via obviously the open windows, to any questions anybody had or any other remaining concerns they want to address. So please feel free to jump
Sorry,
in.
Evan, did you get my links? I just sent a couple of links over. Yeah.
Yes, I did. I got the. I can add them to the YouTube, and I will say them out loud. It's SoundCloud.com/Alex Burnett Music. That's BURNETT Music. And video link, I'm going to have a hard time saying this all out loud.
That's basically just Ian's profile on YouTube. So.
But I will have these added into the annotated links for the Geek Out on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for sharing them. But yeah, if anybody has any questions or anything they want to bring up, now's the time, because we're going to wrap up in a couple minutes here. Leo, how about you?
Yeah, sure. So, besides what we heard from David in the trailer, was there any other dialogue that was recorded by him that you guys had that you're not going to end up using?
No. That was virtually it. Obviously got the role, so we didn't bother auditioning. Yeah, that was it. We just asked him to do some voiceover work for the trailer, and he recorded a couple of takes, and that was pretty much it.
Gotcha. The only other question I really have is, what, and this is for everyone that was involved in the previous project, what was your reaction to the community that did embrace the remake or talked about it, or what did you think about it? Do you think that would actually help the cause? And if not, just what was your reaction? Did that kind of help light the fire underneath the team for working on it?
Well, yeah, with me, obviously we gained a lot of huge support from the Metal Gear fans, but as I said, even people in the industry and stuff. So with me, I was really excited to just get something done and be a part of something like this. My heart really does go out to everyone who give us support and stuff. To answer your other question, if I'm getting you right, you mean if they speak out, maybe we'll get to do it again, do you mean?
No, not really.
Oh.
I figured.
I did actually. Sorry to interrupt, guys. I did actually see a petition that someone's created on YouTube, actually, for it to be resurrected.
Oh yes,
which is nice.
Petition, that petition got emailed and tweeted at me at least 300 times, which was great.
No, the guys are awesome.
Really
fantastic.
All right, so that's a really interesting set of circumstances and everything that went out from it, but I do have to be the party downer here and announce that it is 11:56 a.m. my time. Goodness knows what it reads on the various clocks of the various members of this Geek Outs times, but whatnot. I'm going to have to wrap it up. Sadly, does anybody have any final thoughts? Anything they want to plug? Anything they want to give a shout out to? This is the time.
You can follow me band on Facebook and Twitter. We're called The Red Hot.
Done. And my website's alexburnettmusic.co.uk for anyone that's interested in checking out my music.
Reese, anything online we see?
Yeah, I have a little Tumblr that's going at the moment. It's just my name.tumblr.com, so reesebarber.tumblr.com. My first name's spelled like the like crazy Welsh, so it's RHYS. But yeah, I mean, check out what I'm doing there. I just post little sketches and stuff, basically something to keep me going. But as far as shout-outs, I mean, I would like to mention the community support that we had when that was going forward was just, it was awesome to see. I mean, I kind of came out of that community to the project myself, so I know how those guys feel. And yeah, I mean, you know, one day we're going to see that stuff adapted, whether it's by an external team or Konami themselves. But yeah, it's great to know that there's people out there like just willing to support it, and that they were so good for us. That was cool.
Sorry, Reese. And when that happens, we'll be like, we started that. That was us.
Yes, damn right.
All right. Leo, what was the name of your website again?
It's metal-gear.net. Been around the community for a very, very long time. You know, apologies to you guys. Sorry you guys weren't able to see your original project go through, but you know, consolation obviously is that it brought you guys together, and you guys get to work on something in the future. So I'll just say, you know, thank you for trying. You know, from the community, thank you very much for trying, at least. Obviously, what you were able to accomplish that far was better than anyone had in the past. So, you know, congratulations on that, if that's at least a consolation. But, you know, good luck on the future. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, people will watch this and be interested in what you guys have to do in the future. So good luck on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Leo. Cheers.
Thanks, Leo. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to wrap up.
Last little plug as well. Everyone follow the game on Twitter and Facebook. You know, Big Cake Games. That's it.
So you're saying follow Big Cake Games?
Yeah. But on Facebook and Twitter, you know.
There you go. So thanks again to everybody who showed up. Thanks a lot, Big K Games, for making it out here. Thank you, Leo, for showing up. I know we had some other people pop in as well. It's been a real pleasure. And thanks to everybody who's watching live right now. Please do join us again on Pursuitery.com. We're going to have a lot more geek outs about games. We're going to talk about development. We're going to talk about music, art, movies, robots, whatever have you. We're very excited to see everybody there. And we especially want to give a big tip of the hat to the Big Cake team once again. Thank you so very much for joining.
Thanks, Evan.
So let's go ahead and wrap
Thank
up.
you.
Oh, of course. I got those links from you, Alex. I will be putting them in the video when it goes live, which will be just a couple of minutes from now. Please join us again on Pursuitery.com. My name is Evan Jones. Good day, good night, good luck. Take care.
Ta-da!
So,